Is that the same thing that our two guests are saying this morning, that Nigeria happened to them, or they happened to Nigeria? Well, two of them are here with us to talk about how we as a people can harness the youthful population and its potential. The president has often also spoken about a Nigeria First initiative for policy of positioning, where we are looking at how we can make made in Nigeria products globally competitive. Jerry Malo is with us. He is an entrepreneur and fabricator and designer. He joins us via Zoom in Jos. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we also have, okay, and I hope I don't murder it this time. Okay, Solobugre, Ikpekene. Did I get it?
Yeah, you did.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
So
He is the is a leather products designer with a brand name of Ogo Leather Goods Limited. Let me begin with you. When that saying, Nigeria has happened to me, did Nigeria happen to you or you happened to Nigeria?
I'll say both.
Oh, okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank, I won't be in this position I've been without support that has come a long way.
Okay.
And I would like to give credit to whom credit is due. My parents' quality education school is not scam. Without the quality education I was given by my parents, I won't be able to operate in the level and capacity I operate in. Ogochukwu, an amazing woman who I named my brand after. With her support, the dream will be nowhere to be found.
You have to pay for all of that. Just put all of them and others.
Yes, I know that. No, and most importantly, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria.
Okay.
They gave me a lifeline when the private sector refused to.
Oh.
They gave me a lifeline. So now you
Nigeria
understand.
Happened to you.
No, I say Nigeria happened to me and I happened to Nigeria. So I reached out to the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria and I said, see, I'm a young brand. I need a place to show my goods. And these are my audience. Your duty free is where my audience are. The private sector, all the private sector I meant, literally have shut their doors on me. And without knowing anybody in the organization, they opened their doors to me. So to the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, the federal government, Captain, and this was 2023.
Okay.
When I got my shop there. To Captain Yadudu, then MD of FAN, Alaji Rafindadi, Mrs. Helena Kunkube. All of you have been amazing.
Thankfully, they are all Nigerians.
Yes.
Is that the same thing with you, Mr. Malo? Which one is yours? Did Nigeria happen to you or you happened to Nigeria?
I think it's similar. It's both ways. I grew up in a farming environment and I had the quest to see that I made life easier or better from the perspective I was seeing it. The hardship, going to the farm, doing it the manual way, I saw the need to mechanize the process. So I would say Nigeria happened to me and I happened back to Nigeria. I had the chance to be in the UK for a while, and while I was there studying, my whole focus was what do these countries, what do the Westerners do that we don't do? What can I learn from them? What can I observe? So I come back to Nigeria and make an impact, make a difference. And that's when my journey started. The build of Benny started.
But that's not to say that it has been easy. Perhaps that's the challenge that a number of people have, Mr. Malo. A situation where you start and then you encounter a whole load of pushback, both from institutions of government and even from, as Mr. Ikpekene here said, the private sector.
There have been a lot of challenges. Starting Benny 11 years now, closed it down 3 different times because of the hardships. In my own opinion, I have been with the feel that manufacturing in Nigeria is one of the most difficult aspects, which happens to be the aspects I'm in. Access to information is difficult. Access to knowledge is difficult. Yes, we have a lot of schools, we have a lot of learning platforms, but most of them are focused on the theoretical aspect of it. So getting access to the practical aspect of it has been difficult and was difficult. So we had to make use of what we had and push in. And of course, manufacturing, you need a good level of capital. Accessing capital has been quite difficult, especially that I and my teammates are young people. When we approach financial institutions, there's that need to provide collateral. And the question gets to how old are we? What assets do we have so far? How do we get those assets to give us collateral to access those finance? So it has been difficult. And even when you do, getting finances for manufacturing seems difficult. You will be required to start paying back almost immediately when manufacturing may take even up to a year before you design, you produce the sampling, you do the testing, and you start mass producing. So there were quite some challenges, but of course, this is the aspect where we had to happen to Nigeria. We had to keep pushing because we believe in Nigeria. It's just simple to us. If we don't develop the country, who will?
Well, why do I get this sense, Mr. Malo, that you're going to be getting some phone calls after this program? But please don't quote me. Well, Mr. Equiquini, is that the same with you as well? I know that everyone has a backstory, you know, but in terms of, because what you have decided, for instance, I'm not sure how much of that Mr. Malo can do, but you have decided that all of your resources are going to be sourced 100% locally. And that couldn't have been an easy decision.
Yes, you know, it's not an easy decision because in as much as that is the goal, but you still need to understand there are still some bottlenecks. So accessories are the only things that are imported. And that's because we do not have those made locally. But everything that we can source locally, we get it locally, even though the supply chain will test your mental health.
I happen to know that some of the, I mean, for leather products, yes. This much I can say.
Yes.
Some government officials have put the value of Nigeria's leather as something in the region of trillions of naira. And I also know, and we've gotten the report, something a good number of people know, you may be aware of it as well, that some of the leather products that are imported, they actually source their leather materials from here in Nigeria.
Okay, so let's put it this way.
From Kano to be specific.
Yes, because I source my leather too from Kano.
Okay.
So let's put it this way. It's one thing to get the raw skin itself. It's another thing to process it.
Okay.
Into the quality and standard of finishing that you need. Now, Nigeria supplies the raw skin considerably, but processing is majorly, and I'm speaking from experience, processing is majorly done outside the country. Now, the reason for this is the leather industry, there's a supply chain to it. So if there are not enough successful Nigerian brands, local tanneries cannot survive. Do you understand? Local tanneries can't survive. So local tanneries need brands like mine, who are sourcing from them, to be able to succeed so that we can now order in quantities that make it profitable for them to keep doing business.
Well, so let me stay with you for a bit. Yes. I know, I mean, maybe you want to educate us further.
Yes.
In what spheres, what areas do people need leather? I know that for, you know, okay, this tabletop is leather made. Yes. People use for chairs, for furniture, in the cars and at home and all.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the uses? Maybe because people don't even know the sphere of influence, if I can use that term, of leather in Nigeria. Maybe if we knew, okay, these are the many uses, then there can be investment in that sector.
No, I feel the market always leads. The market is like waves. It's like energy. If you try to control energy, you will to consume you. But if you flow with energy, like we say in the law of conservation of energy, sorry, I'm science trained.
No, it's okay.
Energy can either be created nor destroyed, or can be changed from one form to another. Now, the market reads. So I feel the problem now is not that people are not educated about leather uses. Is that there's something Jeff Bezos said. Jeff Bezos said, Morito's son that founded Sony, after World War II, he set a mission for Sony. He said he was going to make Japan great. It wasn't, I was going to make Sony great. It was, I was going to make Japan great. And my company was going to be that SPV for it. Now, why am I saying this is, I feel until We see ourselves as ambassadors for God and for country. Local industries will strive, will starve.
Okay. So you've spoken about the supply
Yes, the
side.
supply, yes.
I know that Mafwa is coming in on this program, but I want to quickly go to Mr. Malo. The challenge for you is beyond the supply chain, or maybe even the demand side as well. How do you source materials? What kind of support do you think an industry like yours would need to become what you want it to become?
This is a very sensitive one. We are into the business of manufacturing machineries, and we see ourselves as the matchstick to so many other companies, to so many other structures that want to support in making Nigeria better. Now, access to raw materials has been quite difficult as we almost solely depend on importation. Now, why am I saying almost solely depend on importation? We barely have companies that convert the mostly available raw materials we have into ready-to-use product. I mean, steel. We don't have steel industries functional. If only companies like Ajakuta were functional, then we'll be able to source our raw materials internally. But outside that, we are forced to depend solely on importation of metals, from sheet metals to pipes to shafts to even the gearing systems of the machines we make, which has been difficult. Now we've had situations where we want to put our focus on small and medium scale farmers, and there's the challenge of pricing. Now, if we want to cut down pricing to be affordable for them, then with the difficulties of dealing with dollars, the exchange rates and FX, it now makes it difficult for us. And we only try within our means on how to see that these products are made affordable as most as we can. But there are limits to what we can do, and there's the parts of the government, there's the parts where the decision making is beyond what we can do.
Well, Jerry, we have followed your story on Channels Television ever since you came to limelight with the building of the fiber car. And I know that, it cannot have been easy. I mean, it's certainly wonderful to see how much you've grown physically in stature and also mentally and emotionally. I hope your pockets have also grown as well, just as you've grown.
Much better than before.
Oh, thanks be to God. Well, it's good to see you again, and I'm glad to see that yourself and Solobuge are trying to, as much as possible, source as much of your materials locally. Because yes, we have a lot of people who are doing good stuff in Nigeria, but we see that sometimes it's that they conceptualize a thing and go to a place like China, have it produced, and then bring it back into the country. Or they go to China and a number of other places to get their raw materials, come to Nigeria and just couple, and, well, it will still serve as made in Nigeria. And we cannot judge them because they're doing their best within what they have found within their environment. I do not know how much of attention you paid to the president's speech yesterday, but I do not know, and I do not know if it spoke directly to what it is that you are seeking as a young person. But what do you think needs to happen? Because we have the Bank of Industry, and they usually are supposed to be able to support industries like yours, get off the ground, so to speak. What do you think really needs to happen for us to see a more critical mass of people like yourselves coming together to see, to actually help with the industrialization of our country?
I honestly think it's a keen aspect that needs to be given a lot of attention. One aspect that has been given attention to is in lawmaking, in those aspects that give enabling environments for factories like ours to bloom. For example, the presidential law on tax reforms will go a long way in encouraging and improving our production capacity, and not just us, other startups and other manufacturing organizations like ours. I think another key focus would be in aspects of regulating importation of certain products. If we are able to have a system where indigenous products will be encouraged and will be considered of top priority compared to the imported, I think that's where we'll get better chances of developing and being better. If you look at the case of IVM in the past, it was difficult for Nigerians to trust in the brand. But over the years, as patronage increased, as there was more support from the government, the vehicles were muchly available, were more seen in the cities. The trust for the brand increased, and of course, the manufacturing capacity too improved. I think it's the same case in ours. Sometimes we have to deal with the foreign machines as competition. If we have systems where the locally produced equipment are given first priority, it will go a very long way. For example, we've been focusing of recent on mini tractors, and the mini tractors are targeted towards the small and medium scale farmers. We want to see where tractors are affordable, are sold below 5 million naira. If the conditions are made right for us, we could even get these things lower, these machines lower. We have, Nigeria is considered one of the biggest producers of cassava, yet we are still one of the lowest in the terms of processing. Now, it's one aspect that we've focused on, seeing how we could produce machines that will produce cassava into so many products, into different products. And I believe that with what the governments are doing of recent, with the tariffs and the laws they are putting, it will take us a long way. But one sensitive aspect of this all is implementation. It's one thing to set the laws, it's one thing to set the organizations in place, but if the implementation gets difficult, I'm not sure how much of impact it's going to make. For example, there are tariffs now that allow agricultural manufacturing companies import without tax-free. But the truth is, if you are at these borders, if you are at the seaports, will you actually have access to import these things tax-free? So sometimes the government will create these rules, the civil service, to apply these becomes difficult. So if there are systems in place to checkmate that these policies are followed and are duly used, then I feel that there will be much progress, there will be much impact within a short period of time.
Benny, it's also very good to see, I just called you Benny, it should be Jerry. I'm calling you the brand name of your product. But it's so good to see that you're also focusing on things that are used, or will I say, that will be usable, to the everyday and the average Nigerian. The sports car was really a lovely idea, and we really love that. However, some people will say, how many people can afford a sports car, or how practical is that in our current society? So it's good to see you, delve into this. But let me take the next question now too, okay, Solobruge. And I know that you have been trying, a lot of made in Nigeria bags in these days. As a matter of fact, I personally prefer buying made in Nigeria. If you see me carrying a bag that is not made in Nigeria, I didn't buy it. Most likely I did not buy it. And it's admirable to see that a lot of the materials which you are using in your products are locally sourced and handmade. Is there a reason why you've chosen to go down that route, given the fact that there are a lot of other competitors within the same space who are making made in Nigeria bags, but are not doing it, with their hand? They're also maybe getting products from China. They're piecing things together. Is there a reason why you've chosen this particular niche?
Okay, yes, there are reasons for that. Number one is the quality of leather that we use, full grain cowhide. It's the highest quality leather, highest quality globally. And the thickness of that leather is thick and very, very tough. So it's not going to be, what's the right word to use? Machine sewing is going to have limitations to what you can craft with it. And in a market where we are dominated by so much, what's the right word to use? So much cliche finesse. The only way we can stand to compete in a market dominated with so much cliche finesse from both local and foreign brands is by crafting unique pieces. And the only way we can achieve crafting unique back pieces is with handcraft. So those are the two major reasons why we focused on exclusively handcrafted, because we don't mass produce as a brand. We only produce in limited quantity yearly.
How's that going, though?
It's every part has its cross to carry. So we'll pay the price.
Of your crosses?
I didn't get that, please.
I was asking if you could share some of the crosses that you have to carry.
Oh, okay. So the major cross, two major crosses, supply chain and retail. Those are the two major crosses. So the quality of leather we use is the same quality that the top premium brands use. And to get someone who, for example, the time it takes to process my leather orders, it takes between 1 month as high as 3 months to process when I place orders for my leather. And that same time frame you can use to do over 200 quality leather. So to find someone who will be that patient to process that quality of finish is very, very taxing in Nigeria, number one. Then after you go through all that hurdle to now get people to, because this is the thing, yeah? People put a cap to how far a Nigerian brand can go. So you can be good, but don't be too great. You can be pricey, but don't be too pricey. But they don't put a cap to foreign brands. So it's like, okay, a Beluti charges like 7 million naira for a bag. And you say, oh, a Nigerian brand that is charging 1.5 for same quality, and you know you're getting bespoke, meaning you're getting very unique pieces. So unlike Beluti that is considerably mass-produced, you know you're getting a piece that if you walk into a room, you can count the amount of people in the world that has that bag you're carrying. So you now say, oh, for a Nigerian brand that is 1.5, that's too much for a Nigerian brand. But you will gladly pay 7 million for a Beluti.
Well, perhaps that's saying that they are not buying the bag, they are buying the brand.
Exactly.
Okay.
So which brought me back to what I said, which was, until we see ourselves as ambassadors for God and for country, so many things will not align properly.
Okay. Now, if you were to make a call,
yes,
that this is what needs to happen, so that Nigerian brands can scale up to the point of having a viable, profitable tannery in the country, what must happen for you?
I would say we should have, our entertainment industry should be our gate, should be the gateway of our brands to the world. That's what I would say. All over the world, this happens a whole lot of times. Entertainers shape society, both internally and externally. So if our entertainers become proud ambassadors of Nigerian brands, the world will listen.
Okay. Do you agree with him, Mr. Malo?
The entertainment industry, it will go down to even as individuals, as leaders. If we have a top leader using a Nigerian brand, it will go a long way to encourage his followers to also use the brand. And it has a lot to do with the educational system. If the young ones are taught the values of consuming local products, I think they will grow with that. And at some point, they don't need anyone to encourage them to consume this. And of course, if the foreign products don't get access to the markets in the country here, then the indigenes will have, the Nigerians will have no option than to consume the local product. So I think it's a lot of ways. There are different angles to it.
Well, gentlemen, you have scratched the conversation, and I actually believe that this is a kind of conversation we should have quite frequently. One of the challenges that I am aware of, from some industrialists is that, we have a system that needs to encourage such things more because, for instance, infrastructure to get some of these things don't need to come into the country. And the earlier we can do that with less bureaucracy, the much better it would be for us all. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Jerry Malo is an entrepreneur and a fabricator, designer. He joined us virtually from Jos. We've also had Mr. Okoye Ikpipini, who is the CEO of Ogo Leather Goods Limited. I don't know if that's the product proper title. He's a leather products designer. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.